Hi, Fremont family. I'm Kim Bagdori, and I'm one of the elders at Fremont. And I am grateful to be here to share with you about James chapter 4. If you are like me, you started reading this chapter, and it was not at all light and as joyful as the earlier chapters in James. And I started to read this and felt the heaviness of the chapter, some of the heaviness of just the world right now and the realities that we all live in and the division and the strife that exists. And in James 4, he's talking about the strife among Christians and what it is that believers can do to just be at odds with God and at war with one another. And going into that chapter, again, it was hard to read, it was heavy, but in the midst of the chapter, there is so much beauty. In James 4:6-10, James talks about God's grace. And he talks about how when we are proud, when we are so proud we can't come to God and receive his grace, but when we humble ourselves, that is when we are in a posture to receive God's amazing, incredible grace. And when we receive that grace, then we can rid ourselves of that strife. And right now, as I mentioned, all around us, we see this strife in the world. It seems like we can't really escape it between COVID and politics and everything else. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but since March and all of the changes, just the weight, the heaviness, and the sadness, I have found that when I come to Jesus and when I mourn with Jesus and when I lament, that I'm closest to God. And so for me personally in this season, several months back, I got a book called Dark Clouds, Deep Mercy. And it's a whole book on lament, which sounds very sad and a little bit depressing, but it's actually the opposite. What I have found through the study of lament and through the process of lament is it allows us to come to God. It allows us a time to enter into communication with God, with the Holy Spirit, to share our hearts, to share our petitions, to share our complaints, and yet to know that we are coming to God because we can trust him with this, and we know that through his grace, he will deliver us from the mourning, from the grief, from all the heaviness. And so in the midst of James 4, that's exactly what we see. And I can just share from my own path in this last year, my own faith journey, that that's exactly how I have felt in the midst of the weight and the heaviness that this past year has brought, and even these days sometimes. Feeling like it's just hard to breathe with sorrow and grief, coming to Jesus and being so free that he allows us to share our petitions and our complaints, and knowing that the God of the Bible, the God of today, will lift those things from us and pour out his grace on us. And so I just encourage each of us to continue to trust God with that when there is strife among us, when we may be part of that, to humble ourselves and to just trust God in the season of lament, trust him with our mourning, and just come to him and ask him for his grace.